bear with us because it's our first time doing Survivor.
Season 41, no subtitle apparently.
Yeah, just season 41. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that we're starting on this one because they seem to make it, you know, they're trying to say this is a new era for Survivor. So that's good.
I was not disappointed. This is a great introduction, I think. Like Survivor's like more accessible.
Yeah, I feel like Big Brother just gets super confusing.
Especially later. We're gonna run through the cast and the tribes real quick. So we have Team Blue, which is Luvu, which has Danny, Nasir, Erica, Heather, and Sydney. We have Team Yasa, which is David, Eric, Xander, Evie, Liana, and Tiffany. And then we have Team Uwa, which is Brad, Jarius, or JD, Richard, Jeannie, Sarah, and then Chantel. So we start out with them being on like this big barge. On the barge, there's hidden oars for each of their team members, 6 oars in total. I mean, they're like, the only one that's hidden, I guess, was the one that no one found, which was on Team Yasa. So Luvu just like books
not
it.
Mark from the beginning, and then
except they forget to unhook their anchor, which slows them down.
So they were dragging an anchor, and we're like, "Why aren't we going anywhere?"
Yeah. Team Uvu is second in the water. They've remembered to unhook their anchor.
They just start out in front of them.
Team Yasa, basically, Jeff is like, "This is like really embarrassing, guys," and I was like, "Damn, it must be real bad." I wish Big Brother did this where like we didn't have to just watch their whole biographies and then go to the game. It's instead like you're watching it and then every now and then like, oh, we're focusing on this person. Oh, let's talk with them and like get their backstory. And then we're going to go back to the game and then, oh, another person in their backstory. Like it just works so much better.
I think the person that got the most airtime though was JD.
JD, 100%.
They thought that he was going to go.
We see that Team Uwa ends up winning and they end up getting a flint for fire, a machete, and
one pot.
A pot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, they're like kicking it up. Mr. Brad, the rancher.
A freaking asset, which is why when they were starting to on him, I was like,
damn.
I was like, that's cold and that's dumb because you should keep him around longer.
We get a little bit of talk between JD, Chantel, just kind of like talking about like their games. Not really much else from Uwa really this episode other than JD.
Yeah, and I mean I like him, but I'm afraid he's gonna outplay himself a little bit.
I will say he got away with lying about choosing protect my vote. And I honestly didn't know whether or not he got it until he ended up voting. And they were like, you have an extra vote now.
Because like Ricard was like, no. And he's like
Ricard caught on. No. And that means Xander also has one. Losing teams for Yasa and Luvu had to have the option of either filling up 2 large barrels with water from the ocean, but they had to walk all the way down the beach. It was a long walk. Yeah. Or they had to solve a puzzle where it's like one of those triangles that has 1 million triangles in it. And you're supposed to guess how many triangles in total the kind of graphic makes. And both teams ended up choosing the barrel one, which I feel like was easier. One thing that's irritating is, as a viewer, when I'm watching episode 1, I need to be constantly flooded with what their name is on screen at all times. I don't need to see it once and then it cuts away and then I don't get to see it again. It's like I don't just automatically know all their names after like 5 minutes.
In my face hard.
That basically happens. They both end up completing it. However, there is some drama with Luvu, Team Blue, because Nasir sees them kind of walking off.
They were looking for an idol.
So Nasir basically catches them looking for an idol and is like, hey guys, they're looking for an idol while they're in the middle of a challenge.
It should have been smart that he brought it up, but no one seemed to take it well. Like they acted like they did, and then later that seemed to be very irrelevant, and it was like, well, they finished it, so we don't care.
That kind of puts a target on Nasir more than them, because the rest of the tribe's like, why are you trying to point fingers right now? Like, even though it was true, it's not necessarily like they had like bad intention. They even said, they were like, I mean, we finished in time, and like
It should have went better in Nasir's favor, I feel like, but it didn't. It totally, like, you might as well have just kept that in his own personal back pocket.
This guy comes on like a boat and is like, one of you guys needs to come with me. So they send Danny from Luvu, Team Blue. They send Xander from Yasa, Team Yellow. And then they send JD or Jarius from Team Uwa or Green.
Green's the only one that did it like pick a rock and see.
And he wanted to go versus the other ones were kind of like, yeah, I guess I'll go. Like, I don't know.
To go on the other teams. In Green, everyone kind of wanted to go. So they were like, we're just going to do it like rock, paper, scissors type of thing. Pick a rock, whatever. And so just ended up getting it.
They basically had to walk up a mountain and like get to know each other, talk with each other.
And then when they got to the top, then they had to divide.
Yeah, and once they went back down the hill, they were presented with kind of like a steering wheel from a ship that could either protect their vote or risk their vote. And if everyone said protect their vote, everyone's vote was kept intact. If you risked your vote, you had the potential of getting an extra vote. That's only if only one other person also does risk your vote, or if no one else does risk your vote.
Yeah.
If everyone does risk your vote, you all lose your vote. Danny from Team Luvu is the only person to protect his vote, which ends up, I mean, saving his vote. He doesn't lose it, but that means JD and Xander both got extra votes.
Then they get to all go back to their tribes and tell, choose. Well, obviously they don't have to, they could lie about the whole thing. Shit, we just drove around on a boat. Like they didn't have to say anything. And
JD kind of gets a target painted on him only because Ricard thinks he's lying, which he's not, but like he lied about choosing protect his vote, which he ended up going with risk. However, everything else was true. It just came off really weird, so I don't blame Ricard for being like,
he's
told like too many details, or like weird details of like, oh yeah, I got picked up on a boat, my hair was flying in the wind. It's like, okay, that just sounds like made up. Immunity challenge. So to climb over like, a little like incline and like crawl under like some wire, they have to empty off all these sandbags off the sled, which Team Luvu accidentally drops a sandbag off the platform, which ends up not counting. But once you have all your sandbags off, you push your sled down with all your puzzle pieces in different bags all the way down, and then you end up having to push it up an incline twice. So then once you're to the top, you can unload your bags and start your puzzle. Only 2 people can do it. It looks like Team Luvu is going to be like out. They're completely like behind, and then they end up dropping one of the sandbags. Then as they're going up the incline, being even with Team Yasa, Team Uwa is going at the puzzle. Then all of a sudden, Team Luvu just like busts out the puzzle and ends up winning the immunity challenge, which
Team Uwa forgot to dump out of bags. They were missing puzzles.
They were missing pieces that were vital to like build up, on the stack. So obviously that was a big, drop. And then also Team Yasa looked like they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they looked lost.
They had like 1, maybe 2 levels of the puzzle, but
Jeff was telling them about another twist that they added into this game where they have what did they call it? The little like dice.
Oh, the dark die, shot in the dark die.
And so it was like, if you think you're on the line, you can use it for like a very slim chance at safety. You either get safety or you don't get to vote.
We can basically move to the votes now because it's between Team Uwa and Yasa voting someone out. Obviously, we already had some talk about getting out Tiffany, right?
Yeah, Abraham just like had it out for her, and the fact they felt like she physically was not bringing anything to the table. She jumped into the water. She let an oar almost like float away, and then the other challenge, we were doing physical stuff. I didn't see her there. So just thinking, he said he wasn't malicious, and I do believe him, because even at the end he was very like, I'm just glad I got to play, but like he was like, I'm just going off of, he wanted some people that he felt were like physically competing, and he felt like she wasn't.
Yeah, Tiffany basically gets called out by Abraham, and everyone's just kind of like,
Well, because she had already heard that from Evie, and
yeah,
and Evie had already found a way to rally people to keep her because she liked Abraham, but she liked Tiffany more for the long haul. So she was like, I'm gonna do everything I can to keep her.
yeah, which I give Evie credit for being able to do that. Abraham gets sent out.
Was completely blindsided, but his little exit interview, I was like, because he looked shocked. But then at the end, he was just like, well, at least I got to play. Like, it was nice to see someone not be an asshole about it.
So then we move to the voting for Team UWA, Team Green.
Down to either being Sarah or JD. And
which sucks, but thankfully, JD ended up getting an extra vote, which Sarah gets booted. It's kind of sad because Sarah really didn't deserve it. Like, I don't know. Like,
also was like real quick to try to point some fingers in that little tribal thing. And it was kind of like, I mean, you did drop the ball.
Yeah. So
it was kind of like, girl, you are reaching. And I felt like she was just like, no, you. And I was like, okay, now you gotta go. Now you gotta go. It's too much.
So that's basically this episode of Survivor. My personal favorite is Danny at the moment, the ex-NFL player, only because I feel like obviously he didn't get the extra vote, but I feel like he was smart to not risk anything too early. And he was also able to complete the challenge. So we've seen he's physically able to. And his team ended up winning immunity. So,
you know, if you want to keep up with all things Survivor, 41, drop the 4, keep the 1, like, comment, share, subscribe.